So I'm going to introduce now Yuri Bartzis. Yuri is the innovation manager at Pomerleau. His position covers all of Canada. Yuri's worked in a number of different positions across the industry. He's worked at different companies. I think he's actually worked in the field hammering nails and whatnot and learned some skilled trades. Maybe you can confirm that. But he's also worked in major design build projects, lots of different project delivery methods, major projects across Canada. And Pomerleau is a big supporter of CanBIM, one of our primary members. And Pomerleau is a construction juggernaut, massive company, extremely sophisticated, definitely leaders in virtual design and construction and other areas of innovation. And Yuri's participating with their innovation group very actively and leading that for Canada, from my understanding. And I'm pretty excited to hear what he's going to be talking about today, what you're allowed to share about Pomerleau being a great leader. So anyways, with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to present for us, and looking forward to the Q&A. And I'll sign off. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you, everybody, for joining. I, too, am going to do a quick little screen share, so just bear with me real quick. All right, I hope everybody can see that. All right, I'm sure now every company has realized the importance of implementing technology into their everyday workflows. You know, the situation kind of speaks for itself, really. We're in our houses right now, in our bedrooms, you know, holding meetings and conference calls, using video conferencing to try and get that face-to-face with our work partners. And yeah, even myself, I had never thought I'd be doing a keynote speech sitting in front of a computer. It's just not something that I ever envisioned. But after what we're experiencing, the adoption of technology will be ever increasing in the usage in our daily lives, and it's going to become unavoidable, and that much is clear right now. But now, how does one develop an innovation strategy when technology is ever changing, and even just our living situations are ever changing? There are so many risks and factors, and just as you think you've mastered a software, there's a new method of working and makes that software you know, unusable. So I hope to shed some light on the subject, sharing my experience in the construction industry, trying to implement technology on site and into companies. I've spent my entire career applying emerging technologies to existing workflows. Just entering the industry, it was evident to me that there was a better way of working. So, you know, when I was working within other companies, I developed these rules. I have 4 rules that I'm going to be sharing with you that has helped me has supported me with analyzing the implementation of technology. These rules have been learned through hard lessons of risk, which sometimes led to failure. So yeah, these rules have been ingrained in my daily work. And I'm hoping to share these 4 rules to help you guys, you know, understand human behavior and the importance of building deeper personal bonds through learning and exploring technology. And I'm just going to start. So in my early career, I was fortunate enough to work for a project manager that truly understood the importance of planning using technology and the usage of technology on his project as a project member, and he drove the entire project team to innovate and adapt into a new way of constructing. And that new way was called BIM. So that was about 12 years ago. But right now, like at that time, we were working with complex piping systems. You know, getting input from carpenter, mechanics, pipe fitters, all this input into a 3D virtual model. And I couldn't imagine it 10, 12 years ago. We were using the 3D model. We were throwing away the consultant's drawings and building from our 3D models, which back then was kind of a very new concept to everybody. And the PM really understood the efficiencies it created in labor and time and cost savings, and it drove the construction project to success. Really, and the key was allocating the proper time and resources into that planning. And before then, it was really a new concept. There's people shooting from the hip and approaching construction just as through experience, and not spending that time planning and really optimizing their plans. So my rule number one that I've created is, when innovation is pushed from top down, implementation of technology is widely accepted. And that last example that I explained, that was a PM taking control of the implementation of that technology, passing it down to each project member, even subtrades and even the laborers on site, and showing them a new way to build. So that is the top-down approach, and I'm going to use this model, which I'm sure a lot of you have already seen many times before, and manipulate this model a little bit to go through a few scenarios. So we're gonna go back and show. Sorry, that was me. Going to show the scenario that I just went through, with our project manager being at the top. You can see that top-down structure where we're all working into that 3D model and using it as that coordination tool. Very successful model for our projects. Yeah, this model should definitely be in people's tool belts. But I'm going to fast forward into my career, and now as a BIM manager within this company, I was now in a position to effectively push innovation within my company. As the national BIM manager, and project managers would look to me and would now learn from me on how to properly implement this technology. Using BIM for planning and collaborating on projects, we were able to find efficiencies in schedule and plan prefabrication of systems. My company started their innovation journey, like so many others, relying on project budgets to fund the new departments. This is a very safe way to initially fund an innovation team, just using project budgets to just pay for resources. Working many years in this type of a structure, there were a few drawbacks that I've highlighted. The major drawback being that the innovators now lost much of the control to properly implement the innovation. Corners were cut due to lack of budget and limited resources. So true implementation of the BIM process is not fully achieved and realized on the projects, and that causes a problem. And I'm going to show you in this example here, using the diagram. It's kind of it's a way of this diagram shows a BIM coordinator, and I was managing BIM coordinators on many different projects. But if you don't have a project team that isn't merged into the BIM process, your BIM coordinator is almost pushing innovation from the side. It's not really that top-down approach that I was talking to, and you can see here that the sideways push into the process, it does cause initially there is acceptance because everybody can see the benefits of BIM and using these collaboration tools, but once the project gets going, people start putting out fires and getting too busy. The first thing that kind of fell to the side was the new process, was something that people didn't understand, that didn't fully see the benefits of, and finally getting information into the 3D models was near impossible. I think this amounts to training to our PMs. I think training to the PM is really it does create a huge difference when you have a PM that is knowledgeable in the process and able to share that knowledge to the project team and guide the BIM implementation of the BIM process throughout the entire construction. I think that this scenario that I just played through can be avoided by investing the proper time into training that manager. Using training and providing them with the proper support will ensure success. And this leads into my second rule. And let me just bring it up there. So here again, high probability of failure. But my second rule, foster an innovation culture. I lost count of how many cold lunches I ate doing in my first year as being a BIM manager, doing lunch and learns. I traveled across Canada trying to educate our company with BIM and proper BIM implementation. Yeah, that first entire year was geared towards educating. And the level of exposure to technology needed to be much higher than it was. So I used case studies and statistics of previous experience to prove how effective collaboration in 3D can be. Education and technology and fostering a team more open and adept to using innovation was the end goal. There are two thinking methods that that are important for all members in an organization to be aware of when implementing an innovation culture, and if you want that innovation culture to be created and to grow. The first thinking method is the lean thinking method. And this is a great method to train others. The type of thinking that is being used by many professionals, lean, is to break down both simple and complex processes to perform deeper analysis. The goal is to find waste and inefficiencies, identify key performance indicators, then test and analyze those results. These practices are very efficient in a factory or production line setting, and yeah, it's the lean thinking has been made famous by Toyota, and how they've incorporated these concepts into their production lines. But these concepts can apply to many other aspects, including innovation implementation. In fact, lean thinking has been applied to the construction industry for many years, and it is that thinking that has propelled medium and large companies to tackle mega projects efficiently and effectively. In my innovation team, I believe lean training is essential. The ability to apply lean methodologies and it supports my team in understanding technology and how to actively implement that onto a project setting. So the results from implementing technology, those results are meticulously analyzed by my team and tweaked to ensure optimal efficiencies. One of the best examples of lean processes is how Pomerleau constantly analyzes the platforms that we're using within the company. Each department has a platform that works best for those specific needs. So whether it's business development and their Salesforce platform, or estimating cost X, or even HR has their own HR platform that they use, Pomerleau is constantly working to marry the links between each one of these platforms to eliminate duplications of work and data loss. When possible, we look to eliminate platforms from our tool belt, and when we add a platform to the way Pomerleau works, it's looked at with meticulous detail to make sure we're not overloading our employees and adding a platform that may become useless in the end. The second method of thinking, just going to jump to that, is design thinking. So this is another method that is well used in technology development. The idea behind this method is to involve the end user in the design process from the beginning. So to empathize with that end user, find out what are the issues, and design to that specific concern. So using 5 steps, the design is essentially custom built to tackle the needs of a customer group. At Pomerleau, design thinking is implemented constantly by our programming and development team. Custom solutions are developed to both link the existing workflows and enhance the end user experience. By doing so, the end user has very little in terms of training and adopting the technology as we've analyzed exactly how they work. So the technology kind of just implements right into their usual workflow. Another great example of design thinking that Pomerleau uses is the Pomerleau FOX project initiative. So FOX stands for the Foundation of Operational Excellence. This is a proactive initiative that invites different members from across our country, from different departments, and allows them to work in synergy to reach an end goal. So they strategize and develop best practices, or try and push our boundaries with new ways of working. Members work together from coast to coast to develop things, and this initiative fosters again that innovation culture within the company and builds synergy across our company from coast to coast. And to lead into the next rule that I want to share, I'll expand a bit about the on-site implementation of technology that I noticed in my experience. So working on site in different regions across Canada, I had the pleasure to work with many different and sometimes very colorful characters. Our site leaders, supers, foremans, and even the labor force that drives the construction industry is made up of very clever, creative, and resourceful people. This is a different level of innovation that is sometimes used to get jobs done, especially when the weeks of planning has a different result and a different reality on site. And what I've learned in my years on site is that the 3D visualization of construction was present on construction projects decades before BIM and 3D models were developed. Even before computers were developed, the way a site superintendent reviews a package of drawings, all the plans, sections, and even the details, reviews the specifications, reviews the existing conditions that he sees. He is essentially building a picture in his mind. And I've witnessed a super spend 2 weeks just reading the drawings and putting this image together. And he really immerses himself into the data, and in the end, he builds that 3D picture in his mind. And even including that 3D picture in his mind includes all of the specification knowledge, scheduling and phasing, and how he wants to approach that project. It's really quite amazing. And working hand in hand with a super, I realized that all I was doing was with the BIM model was supporting and sharing what he had in his mind. So it was allowing that 3D image that he was building and the phasing to be transferred into that 3D model and into a collaborative platform where now we can take input from other professionals and adapt that plan, enhance that plan, optimize the plan that super originally and the PM originally put together in their minds, and adapt it to something that is going to result into success on that construction project. So using a super as an example, that leads me to rule number 3, that anybody can adopt technology, even if it is a super that you wouldn't think would be technologically savvy. But just that example and knowing the way they work and helping them take what they know and share those ideas, they will, once they see that benefit, they will jump onto the technology and support the implementation of that technology into their process. So using that example again, I was kind of blown away after those 2 weeks of that super reviewing the drawings, and saw the foreman on that same project spend a significant amount of time learning the project and understanding exactly what that super just learned. And all of a sudden my lean thinking kicked in, and I realized that by having that 3D model to easily and quickly understand a project, you're creating a tool that supports understanding across members of that project. So the foreman would be you're essentially cutting hours away from every member of that project, right down to that labor force, just because you have that visual platform to be able to share and learn. So by doing so, you have less time invested in getting up to speed to the planning and more time spent optimizing and adding to the plan. And what I just described similarly is very similar to the estimating process using technology. I laugh when I see a marked tender drawing set with different highlighted colors being used very meticulously all over the drawings. I'm sure many of you have seen estimators using this method. And I understand the method, that this method is meant very similarly to the super to merge themselves into the project and understand the project using the highlighting and understanding each element of the project. But I can if I can extract quantities from that model and support the estimator in creating counts and budgets, I'm providing more time that can be spent into optimizing schedules, discussing work strategies with subtrades, and researching value engineering solutions. So that's what I would prefer that estimator work on. And again, by understanding a process and breaking it down into its parts and explaining how that process can be enhanced using technology, using BIM methods, that is when proper implementation of technology can be successful. And there's no limitation to age or skill level. If a clear, proven enhancement of the process is evident, it inspires application into the contribution to the adoption of technology. So rule number 4, understanding technology. This rule seems simple, but truly understanding technology is the key to success. Really, it's understanding data, and everybody knows that BIM, the most important part of BIM is the information, the data. Data management is the basis and key to many different future technologies, and mapping the flow of data can ensure that technologies, processes, and softwares are aligned. The list that I'm going to show you one second. The list you see here are some of the major technologies that Pomerleau is actively performing research and development in. They have been identified as key technologies that will push our company to success. And the deep dive into these technologies, we start discovering important links from one to the next. And you can see here with data acquisition, that the links between data acquisition and then again with GIS technology and the geographical modeling, the two are very similar and very much linked. So you're using the data acquisition to create that GIS model, but then the links from the data acquisition or that GIS model are very different. So you can link GIS into planning, you can link data acquisition into robotics. So focusing on those links is what Pomerleau has been doing in the last year. So managing data is something that all companies should be considering. So when moving to that next level of technology integrations with artificial intelligence and machine learning, the meticulous review of technology is important. When we're collecting data from 150 construction projects across the country, there's a lot of room for unwanted data to be gathered from the data acquisition process, or even just from the construction methodologies. And all this data can skew results, and those skewed results lead to errors in the artificial intelligence and that machine learning, and even into other technologies like prefabrication and that digital twin. So I believe data management is one of the keys to understanding technology and understanding how data is transferred from technology to technology, from data use or data collection to data storage and database. So I believe that is one of the true understandings of technology. And so at Pomerleau, we've taken those technologies and we understand the flow up into the BIM model, like you see there. And this is going to lead me into the innovation strategy at Pomerleau. So when we restructured last year in 2019, we actually developed a logo, which you saw earlier. we almost picked an octopus as a logo, and that's kind of an ongoing internal joke that you know, when you look at the different technologies and how it flows up into a BIM model, like you see on the screen there, it very much looks like an octopus. And even just the way that we wanted our innovation team to spread to all the different departments and make sure that there's those links between departments, between softwares. It just made sense to to go with an octopus, but in the end we didn't. And our logo is that one right there, which I do love. But like I said, back in 2019, we did restructure our innovation group at Pomerleau. Our BIM department became an innovation group. We used members of the team, and there were 6 members of the team that were upgraded to be innovation part of the innovation operational committee at Pomerleau. I was one of the members that was hired outside of the company, so I came into Pomerleau in 2019 as one of these operational committee members, and just to continue the use of these icons, I'm going to transfer us all into icons just to show how Pomerleau and the innovation strategy was restructured. So this was the 2019 restructuring. We created the operational committee. That was the first step, and we reorganized our team, the innovation team, to focus more on technology and research and development. We divided our team and even created new positions if required, but the team was more geared towards research and development and implementing that research and development into piloting on site. So within our team, we have developers, we have technology integrators, and then we have a whole slew of BIM coordinators that are working with the project teams. So it is very, very elaborate. I'm going to jump into our mission statement, which is together we influence and together we transform the industry. And if you break that mission statement down, you can see, so together with the advancements in technology, it cannot be achieved without hard work, and both our internal and external partners. We want to collaborate with other partners on our projects. It's imperative that includes Pomerleau's project teams, our clients, consultants, and specialized contractors that we all work together for the implementation of technology. Second, emphasis on influence. To influence, one must master the skill. We believe that our influence can be beneficial for everyone. From our team emerges many advances in construction, and we believe that we can push our partners to adopt the industry's best practices as experts. We adopt the duty to influence the industry. And lastly, transform. The innovation group must transform what is considered basic practices to elevate the industry to a higher level for the benefit of all. The status quo is not an option, and we need to make sure we have a lasting impact on our construction projects. And that mission statement leads to our objectives, and there's the 3 objectives there. 1, coach and inform. To be able to coach not just internally our project teams, very similar to what I mentioned with the project manager, needs to have that knowledge of innovation and technology. So we do a lot of coaching internally. We also coach externally and try and elevate our subcontractors and our partners to work at the same level as Pomerleau when it comes to technology implementation. 2, to proactively look into technology and use Technology Watch to monitor the changes in technology, to follow how technology is progressed, even if it's a technology that isn't currently in the construction industry. We're looking on how to take that technology and use it for the benefit of the construction industry. So always having a proactive look into technologies. And 3, internal and external synergy. So making sure that the innovation team is really synergized with our Pomerleau team, with our project managers, and even our partners, research partners, and everything there. So each one of the CO members that you see there. So what we've done is we took those basic research and development axes and assigned them to each one of our operational committee members. So each one of us are leading research and development on a team of for research and development in each one of those subjects, and that's how we're able to use our research axis to identify goals on where we want to get to in the future in 2021, 2022. So we've mapped out our goals and made sure that we're moving each one of these technologies, merging it into Pomerleau workflows, looking into piloting the technologies on our projects, and using it that way. So our operational committee, we report into an innovation strategic committee within Pomerleau. So this innovation strategic committee is made up of executives within Pomerleau from all the different departments. So there are leaders in all the different departments that help direct our research and development, also approve the research and development, and develop that integration strategy into Pomerleau operations. So the innovation strategic committee is key to make sure that the message from our team is transferred to operations. And I hope you noticed how the 4 rules that I started with above were integrated as part of the Pomerleau Innovation Strategy. So rule number 1, the top-down approach is maintained. Our innovation team uses the Innovation Strategic Committee to not only make decisions on the research and development, but that is performed, but to approve the strategy of deployment company-wide. So again, having that top-down from those department leaders, so they are the ones that are pushing these initiatives and making sure that the adoption of the technology is pushed down to our projects. Rule number 2, as one of our objectives, we are committing to coaching and training internally to maintain a strong innovation culture. Even our mission statement highlights that innovation will be deployed at Pomerleau together with other departments actively participating in the process. Rule number 3, our mission is to transform the industry. We will not bend the innovation of our projects to conform to a project team or the environments that we find that project in that might not have the experience working with the technologies. We believe that anybody can adopt technology with the proper support from our team. And rule number 4, another one of our objectives to be proactive with the monitoring of technology. So we stay informed of new trends and technology so that we can share that knowledge with the rest of the Pomerleau team. So using these 4 key rules, Pomerleau has put together a strategy for success within our companies. And I hope that these 4 key rules can support all of you with understanding technology implementation and to create unique innovation strategies for your companies that will ensure that you help your company float to the top and become leaders in innovation. And yeah, thank you everybody for your time, and I hope that the information that was shared is useful for everybody.
I got a number of questions, but we did have some questions that came in from the audience, and if you do have any questions, now is the time to get your questions in, please. So Vincent asked, regarding, in your presentation, you talked about your BIM journey and the projects. It was tied directly to project budgets. Sounds like you have changed over time. How has Pomerleau paid for the BIM use on projects now?
Yeah, so there is a huge budget that does come from the projects. BIM and innovation, it is implemented into how our project managers work. So there is a budget already dedicated there, but there is a lot of support coming from the top down, from Pomerleau executives that want to see us use that next level of technology. So We do get support from the larger pool of money that is Pomerleau that comes into our department. We also use government grants, and I suggest that to again everybody that's listening. That is another great way to support research and development within your company, and those government grants help us for that specific reason, for research development with some of our university chairs.
So you have a team that is covered by kind of corporate overheads in each region that support the projects, and then you have individuals on the site who are part of the site budget that manage the integration of models and everything, other things you do with the modeling in the field.
Exactly, yeah, and a great example of part of our team that is sponsored by that corporate budget would be our developers. So they're constantly developing plugins and developing support to our innovation and VDC members on site to work better, to work more efficiently.
Right.
So yeah, that development team is all overhead.
So I had a question regarding like top challenge. So, you know, with all the technology you're trying to implement, I mean, a lot of it is working with your teams internally, I'm sure, getting them on board to participate and try new things, or take new processes and technology seriously, like take the time to train and retool their approach to their work. How do you manage that? And is that the top challenge with what you're doing, or is there something else that's more challenging?
The training is the challenging part. My part of the innovation group, as part of that operational committee, is our operations outside of Quebec. And when it comes to Pomerleau, our offices, all our offices outside of Quebec, are much smaller than the large offices in Montreal and Quebec. So we are dealing with smaller size projects, with smaller office groups. So there is that struggle of BIM implementation. It seems to be more prominent in our larger offices and in Quebec than it is in some of our remote regions, like in Halifax or St. John. So yeah, I think that training aspect of it is key. That lunch and learns, that trainings, one-on-one training with project managers, that is the true key to success, and making sure that it's not just a team of innovators that have all that knowledge.
Yeah, so building those relationships on the ground with the individuals and onboarding them. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned that. I mean, in your strategy, you mentioned that it's great to have top-down leadership support for these initiatives, and obviously that goes a long way when you show up to do a lunch and learn, and people take it seriously because the boss says, "Hey, you got to do this now, right?" What would you
or
do?
Just show up, really.
What would you do if you didn't have that? I mean, there's a lot of people listening, I'm sure, and a lot of people across the industry that don't have the luxury of a Pierre Pomerleau that actually cares about this technology and sees it as an important part of the overall business strategy. How would you manage that internally if you didn't have that top-down support, and how would you create that top-down support?
I would say get your leaders involved with CanBIM. That is a great first step, and that will really help them understand, whether it's with presentations like this or other presentations about other technologies. There's a great source of information with CanBIM that allows those executives to understand the technology, understand how other companies are taking advantage of that technology and pushing it to that next level. I think, again, and that's kind of what we were just talking about, training. It's even training to your upper management team, that they need to be the champions. It can't come from that sideways push.
Yeah. So you mentioned there's a process in place where you analyze all the different technologies that you introduce across the business. I would imagine that's done through those two committees. Just kind of, can you elaborate on that process a little bit? Like, how do you find new tools? How do you decide what tools to take on? How do you test them? How do you measure the success of that implementation across the business? Maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Okay, on the actual piloting and testing of the technology. Well, those the methods, the thinking that I had in my presentation, the lean thinking, and how to look at a process, break it down, and identify key performance indicators in that process, and then to rejig the process to eliminate that waste. Lean thinking is one of the best ways I can identify to make sure that when you're looking into that new technology and analyzing a process and how that technology fits into that process, to make sure that you're reaching those efficiencies. So sitting down, really analyzing the process, and when I say analyze that process, using process mapping is a great way. Process mapping is I think it was coined in the process mapping of programming, where you're laying out kind of a process and a system. That is a great way to outline a process, outline where you can extract key performance indicators in that process, and make sure that you're analyzing how that new technology changes your key performance indicators, and you have a clear.
Is it coming from the job site, like a bottom-up approach where people say, hey, we have this problem, and they bring it to the innovation community, or is the innovation group sort of analyzing what's available in the market all the time, or is it sort of a mix of both?
It's a mix of both. So our innovation team is more looking at the global market and bringing that technology down. But the Fox initiative that I mentioned in my presentation, that is opened up to internally to the Pomerleau employees to suggest innovation and push the innovation from the ground team up, and we're diving into those Fox projects. Our innovation team is involved with other members across different departments to develop internally and to find those better ways of working.
Okay, great. So I'm going to wrap up there, but thank you very much for your time. Great presentation. I'm sure people can get a hold of Yuri if they have additional questions through LinkedIn, or we might provide his contact information in the system here or when we publish these videos. But great presentation, really appreciate it. And I'm going to sign off and move over to the next room where we have to kick off the next presentation. So thank you very much, Yuri. Much appreciated.
No problem, and thank you everybody for your time.